Hello there everybody, you're the audience, my name is Supersonic Blur, and welcome back to the next episode of Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Last time, we had to question Ymir again, and the moron that they are basically did nothing of relevance. So now we have to discover what happened after discovering the body, because we're suggesting that the crime scene could have been tampered with. Whether or not that's true, we'll have to ask Ymir about. I broke down the door and saw the alchemist slumped in his chair. Gave me a jolting off. The butler hurried to call the knights of the Inquisition, who never even entered the study. What did I do then? I was asked to keep an eye on things, so I went in to have a look at everything. That made me pretty drowsy, so I went and had a little nap on the couch. Okay. Wait, what? Mr. Ymir, you said the butler didn't enter the crime scene. Yep, he never set foot in there. The moment he saw Belduke, he told me to stand guard till the Knights of the Inquisition arrived. And then off he went. What a resourceful apprentice that alchemist is, I thought to myself. I almost feel sorry for you, Sir Blue Knight. After all, your suspect couldn't have tampered with the crime scene. That can't be true. Defense, please proceed with the interrogation. Yes, Your Honor. This is not good for us right now. And unfortunately, slandering Ymir doesn't exactly help us in this situation. I broke down a door and saw the alchemist slumped in his chair. Gave me a jolt. I'm sure it did. The butler hurried to call the Knights of the Inquisition. He never entered the study. Right. What did I do then? I was asked to keep an eye on things, so I went in to have a bit of look around at everything. Did you notice anything in particular about that scene then? What were you having a look at? I was asked to take care of the crime scene, wasn't I? So I had to, make sure everything was in order. I mean, It's not like I went wild with excitement after being left in a real alchemist room full of mysterious stuff. I'm sure you didn't, Mr. Sticky Fingers. And besides... Besides what? She asked me to look for something, so I was doing that too. She asked me to look for something? Oh? Now this is interesting, because Ymir has always been referring to Jean as a boy or male. So, it's interesting that they would then say she asked me to look for something. Ms. Grayle, you look lost in thought. Were you talking to me? Even she could be caught off guard, if I choose the right moment. You've been listening to Mr. Ymir's testimony, haven't you? Yes, I have. He was asked to look for something. Was it? It was you who asked him, I assume. What did you tell him to look for? I think you're mistaken. I don't remember making any request of that sort. Huh? Oi, Bluey! Were you even listening to what I said? It was a lady that asked me. The butler is a guy, you numbskull! Ymir, how long have you actually been here in this trial since having left the witness stand? Hey, what's up? Why's everyone looking at me like that? Quite a while ago, we learned that the butler, Jean Grayle, is actually female. What? That's why, when you said a lady asked you to search for something, we assumed that it was Miss Grayle. What? Daydreaming, listening, but not hearing. That look of shock, it's almost endearing. What did anyone tell me before? Do you require a personal notification? You should have been listening to the trial. Knights of the court, squabbling with a witness is most unseemly. What I would like to know is this. Who was the lady that made the request of Ymir? Oh yeah, that was actually Miss... Letty Mailer.
He's absolutely certainly talking about me.
I love it.
Oh, and you are?
Oh, I'm Letty. Hang on a minute. I'll get down there post-haste.
I love it, because they're speaking post-haste. That's the very voice for me to do for Letty. And yes, it is going to be that voice.
Miss Letty, who are you precisely?
How does the judge not have a clue, Big One?
Who am I? I'm Letty Mailer. I'm the courier.
The courier, the only courier. Speaking of couriers, I've had a fucking awful time with a courier as of recently. Hopefully it's sorted by the time this video goes out. I doubt it will be, and that's the worst part. A courier is a person who collects and delivers letters or packages, I know. I know. Thanks anyway, Isabella. I wish you'd stop misreading my mind. Hold on, Miss Mailer. Do you mean it was you who irresponsibly made such a request of that troublemaker? Me? Maybe? Yes, I guess so. I asked him to help me find something. Outrageous. Why was I not informed of this? I guess no one told you. Maybe because you didn't ask. It seems we'll need to ask you to testify, Miss Mailer. Explain to us how you were involved in this case. Frankly, I wouldn't say I was involved or anything. Now I'm in a tight spot because I bet it's because that guy said something weird about me. He's up on me, lady. Like the saying goes, if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. Beats on being in a pickle on your own, right? Now then, Miss Letty Mailer, testify about that day. Voice could make windows shatter. I love that. Sir! It's too high for me to do. Sir Belduke said he'd have a letter to send, so I came by to pick it up. Okay.
Hold it!
You mean you came to pick up a letter from Sir Belduke? Yes! I was told by Sir Belduke that it'd be ready in the morning. What's more, he said it was extremely important. I felt a sense of duty surging within me. Huh? Oh? What's this?
Hang on!
Miss Grail, I have a question. Yes, what is it? Did anything catch your attention during Miss Mailer's statement? Nothing in particular, and at any rate, to begin with, I was not aware of the fact that the courier visited us that day. Ah, that's right! You weren't there when I arrived! And once I found the letter, I left immediately. Did you know about this letter, witness? I would never pry into Master's personal matters, such as his correspondence. Well, that should conclude the testimony. So now we know there was a third witness. But Miss Mailer only came to pick up a letter. That doesn't help us much, does it? Well, perhaps there's more to it than meets the eye. A letter, huh? Belduke was about to send a letter to someone before he was killed. It may not be relevant to this case, but something about that is bothering me. Maybe it's worth asking Letty about it. Maybe pressing further down then? Let's see. He said a letter to send. Yep, so we just won't. What we will do is now have a look and see what it's not going. It's fair, sense of duty surging within me. Yeah, let's keep going. And so you visited Sir Belduke's dwelling the morning after he was murdered. I got a start when I arrived. The door was smashed in and that man was walking around with an axe, rummaging about. As for Sir Belduke, he was slumped in his chair, and the butler was nowhere to be found. That brute's gone too far, I thought to myself. You can see why, right? Of course. Naturally. In your place, I'd have thought so myself. It's mean. Anyway, I spoke with him and he told me what happened, so that's when I asked him to help me. So you asked him to look for something? Yes, the letter. I asked him to search for the letter. But in the end, the guy passed out on the couch. I found the letter myself, then I delivered it. actually delivered the letter? That's commitment, alright. About that letter, who, in the name of the noble author, was it addressed to? I can't tell you that! Sorry, couriers can't disclose that sort of information. Couriers have a confidentiality obligation, so no one wants to have that address of their letters made public after all. I have personally never sent a letter that would need to be kept a secret from the people. But don't look at me like that. I was talking about public opinion on the matter, not my own. Beldick was about to send an important letter when he was killed. A letter kind of rings a bell. Present evidence. It's just a hunch. I may not have anything to do with this case, but I need to make sure. I need to know more about Belduke's letter. Witness! Huh? Me? What's up? The letter Sir Belduke asked you to deliver on that day.
Take that!
The letter you found that morning, was it by any chance this one here? Ah! Yes, that's the one! But wait! How did you get it? You're a piece of work, all right.
Objection!
Hold it, Sir Blue Knight! How did you come by that letter? It just sort of fell into my lap, so to speak. It's the professor who found it, but he doesn't need to know that. Defender, just what in the world are the contents of that letter? Well, the letter's blank. What? All this fuss over a blank letter? As you can see, there are some sheets of parchment inside the envelope. Indeed, and there's not a trace of ink on them. What is the meaning of this? Don't forget that Sir Belduke was an alchemist. He may have used some kind of invisible ink to write that letter. Indeed, that would make sense. About that? That doesn't make sense to me. What? Miss Smaler? The thing is, when I saw that letter, all the pages were full of writing, so, you know.
Objection!
Hold it, witness. You saw the contents of Sir Belduke's letter? I didn't read it, it's just that, you see... Witness, this is an important matter. You will need to testify about it. Tell us what you know about this letter. I was actually in the middle of going to do so, Your Honor. That night, probably about 1 a.m., I made the delivery to Sir Belduke. He was writing a letter at the time. It'll be ready soon. Come pick it up tomorrow morning. That's what he said. I left his study and wished the butler a good night. Then I went home. I went there again the next morning, as promised. Sir Belduke was... Well, anyway, I looked for the letter. Then that guy went out like a light on the couch. I got a little scared, so I left as soon as I found the letter. I see. So, you witnessed the victim write the letter? I wouldn't say witness. That sounds so legal. The sheets of parchments were on his desk, though. I saw that. And they were covered in writing, margin to margin. But you don't know what the letter was about. Telling you would be a breach of our privacy policy. I can't reveal its contents or who it was addressed to. Oh, of course, I understand. Frankly, I didn't get close enough to Sir Belduke's desk, so I couldn't make out what he was writing. In any case, where did you find the letter the morning after the victim was found dead? On a shelf next to his desk, in a small letterbox. Ah, yes, right there, next to his head. It was a teeny bit scared, though, coming so close to a dead man. So that's where she looked for the letter from. It was right next to the corpse, huh? Also, is it just me, or do I get Edgeworth vibes from, Sir Belduke? Now, the circumstances are clear. We shall proceed to the cross-examination. That night, probably at 1 a.m, I made a delivery to Sir Belduke. I'm sure you did. He was writing a letter at the time. It'll be ready tomorrow. He said, come pick it up soon. I left his study and wished the butler a good night. Then I went home. See, this is interesting because this goes against what would have been said. This doesn't make sense because they said around 1 a.m, Jean left the study. So either they were in the study at the same time or they were outside that room. But that doesn't make sense either because we've seen the way that the study is, it's closer to the exit than the Grael's room. So Grael had to be going the opposite direction. If we have a look at some of the evidence, if we have a look at details, you can see here, you've got these two rooms. This is the only way in, meaning there's that long corridor that runs along there, and then this way to get out of the house. So whatever happens, unless they saw them here, or here, somewhere along here, they could have seen them anywhere here, which leads me to believe there is something important about that. So, let us press.
Hold it!
Wait a minute. When you say the butler, you mean... Miss Grael, of course. She was in the corridor carrying a tray.
Hang on!
Miss Grael, I'd like to ask you something. Oh, certainly. What is it? You stated previously that you excused yourself and left Sir Belduke's study shortly after 1 a.m. Yes, that is correct. However, according to Miss Mailer's testimony, the two of you came across each other while you were waiting outside that room. Why didn't you mention that until now? That's because... I apologize. I'm afraid I completely forgot to mention it. This is important, and you know it's important because their brain was turning through, like, why they didn't mention it. They were actively not mentioning it, so they needed to come up with an excuse for it. If they had genuinely thought they'd mentioned it, they would have said, oh, when I said I excused myself, it was after that event. I'm sorry there was a misunderstanding on that. But that's not the case. Because Jean was actively trying to not tell people, they're making another excuse. If they had nothing to hide, they would have just gone, oh, sorry, I thought I mentioned it when I said I excused myself after 1 a.m. It was after this had occurred. You forgot. Miss Mailer very often comes to visit with deliveries during the night. I did see her that night as well, but I didn't think much of it, as it's nothing unusual. I had no reason to hide that from you. Please forgive me for the confusion, see? Now we're starting to see that come through as they pace themselves through bits. Well, that kind of thing can happen. Human memory is in no way perfect. I don't imagine there's a problem here, is there? On the contrary, Your Honor. There's one more thing Miss Grael forgot to mention. What is it? I'd like you to recall what Miss Mailer said about having met Miss Grael that night. Miss Grael, of course. She was in the corridor carrying a tray. Well, Miss Grael, apparently you were carrying a tray at the time. What do you have to say about that? Jean Grael, I believe you should add that to your testimony. As you wish, my lord. It's unlikely she really forgot about it. If I think she tried to hide, it must mean something. Miss Mailer left just as I was bringing Master his usual drink.
Hold it!
What do you mean by usual drink? When Master's experiments concluded into late hours, he would always have some juice to ward off sleepiness. What kind of juice?
Oh.
Tomato juice.
No! Hang on!
Excuse me, Mr... Mister! Oh, no, nothing about it, nothing! Nothing at all! Witness, what have you done this time? Don't give me that scary look, Inquisitor Barnum. It was only just a little bit. Seriously, not a little bit at all. What are you talking about? Huh? What do you think I'm talking about? The juice, the tomato juice, of course. The tomato juice? Oh, you didn't. Surely even you wouldn't. Well, like I told you before, I think I sort of overdid it a bit the previous night. When I woke up, my head was pounding. That's why I went to see the alchemist. But you know what happened, and then I was left alone in the alchemist's study. It kind of caught me eye, the bottle I mean. The tomato juice. I thought it might make the headache go away, you know. So you drank it? The juice found at the crime scene? Well, why shouldn't I? It's a drink, ain't it? What else do you do with a drink? You drink it, right? And can you tell us where that bottle is now? Come to think of it, I don't remember seeing it at the crime scene. It has been confiscated. Confiscated, huh? As I mentioned previously, the occult crime analysts confiscated all of Master's personal belongings from the crime scene. Is that so? Well, I believe we should take a note of that bottle and add it to the court record. I drank it. God. Yeah, so there I was having a bit of juice when that girl came around. To tell you the truth, I don't quite remember what happened after that. That's when he passed out, huh? I went there again the next morning, as promised. Sir Belduke was... Well, anyway, I looked for the letter. Yeah. He was writing a letter at the time, that night, probably about 1 AM. He was writing a letter and it said, like, Smiller left us a drink. I went there again, so Belduke was... I looked for the letter. Then that guy was out like a light. I was so scared, so he left the room. Okay. Courier sure is committed to her work, or maybe just plain crazy. Mr. Wright, his testimony raises more questions than it answers, doesn't it? Sir Belduke wrote that letter the night before his death, and yet now it's blank. It's a mystery, all right, but there's something else unusual in what she said. When she said that guy fell unconscious at the crime scene, she meant Mr. Emir, right? He said himself that he felt a surge of drowsiness at the time, but still. Maybe it's worth looking into the reason behind that drowsiness. What could have made him suddenly pass out and sleep like a log in a dead man's room? Oh! I think I know what it might have been! That's right, Luke. There's a certain piece of evidence that might be related here. I suppose I should present that evidence and test out my theory a little. Let's try it, Mr. Wright! Yeah. So, let's present the evidence at... Let's see if it was anywhere. Then that guy went out like a light, and I found the letter.
Objection!
Mister, I believe the reason that you might have lost consciousness at the crime scene is tied to a certain piece of evidence. But wasn't it just because, you know, I had a bit too much fun the night before? No, it was because of this. The tomato juice. You passed out right after drinking that juice. Therefore, it's not unreasonable to assume that there is a direct connection between the two. Tomato juice does not make people fall unconscious, Sir Blue Knight. Exactly. That's why something must have been added to the contents of that bottle. Something like a soporific. You mean sleep medicine? And if the soporific was mixed with the tomato juice, that means Sir Belduke would have been unconscious at the time he was assailed. Oh, wait. The sketch. Have another look. The red liquid trickling down from the victim's mouth is proof that Sir Belduke must have drank the tomato juice. had failed to consider this. Inquisitor Barnum, I bet you remember saying this to the court. Can you imagine anyone just sitting back and letting themselves be strangled? Clearly, there should have been evidence of a struggle. And since we haven't found any, this means the killer erased all traces of a fight from the crime scene. However, if the victim was unconscious when his assailant was strangling him, then the killer could have committed the crime through a small portal, big enough to put their arms through after all.
Objection!
That may be so, but tell me this. How would the culprit have managed to obtain such a strong soporic? Well, it was very simple. And I think you've realized why. From the alchemist. That's right. An alchemist would no doubt have a wide array of various medicaments in their possession. And an apprentice would have little trouble stealing some of them from their study. Isn't that right, Miss Grayle? How should I respond to that? I'm sorry to disappoint you, may perhaps be the best way to put it.
What do you mean?
Even though that juice bottle has been safely stored for the past 3 months, I'm positive it would be impossible to find any traces of that soporic row. You wicked. This is unbelievable. Was it really the butler who did it?
But everything she says holds true.
She was pretending to be a boy. That's mighty suspicious to start with. Is she a witch? Ow. All 3 of them. Hold on, everyone! The butler couldn't have done that to Sir Belduke. She would never ever do it! Please, let us testify just one more time! Miss Grayle, let's tell them! Let's prove they're wrong! They have no idea how much you've done for Sir Belduke! Miss Mailer? Very well, I shall grant you your request. Testify about the relationship between Miss Grayle and Sir Belduke. The alchemist and his butler. Master took me in, a complete stranger. I will forever be indebted to him. That's why I could never make an attempt on his life, through magic or otherwise. Sir Belduke was a wonderful man! He was the one who recommended this line of work to me. And he's the one who told me about it. The confidentiality obligation, I mean. I've never broken it once. It's true that Sir Belduke evoked fear due to his being an alchemist. However, he was also a man of admirable character who supported the townsfolk through his research. Why would anyone want to kill such a man? This question keeps haunting me, however much I think about it. Witches need no reason behind their evil. That is what makes them witches. Now, the defense may begin its interrogation. It's not an easy one to look into at this point in time. The alchemist and his butler. Master took me in, a complete stranger, and I will forever be indebted to him. Why did he take you in?
Hold it!
How long has it been since you began serving Sir Belduke? I suppose it would be 5 years now. Before that, I'd lost everything. I had nothing and nobody left in this world. You lost everything? That's when Master Belduke helped me. He kindly took me in and gave me work. What did she go through before starting work with Belduke? Later, when I was helping Master with his research, he even taught me how to read and write. I was able to live comfortably for so long, all because of Master. I don't know much about Grayle, but she doesn't seem like the type to kill someone she owes so much to. Everyone in this town knows you served Sir Belduke. Now you may continue your testimony. That's why I could never make an attempt on his life, through magic or otherwise.
Hold it!
You're claiming you had no reason to kill Sir Belduke. Yes, you can ask whomever you wish, and I'm sure they will say the same. That is so. It is widely known that Jean Greyell was devoted to serving Sir Belduke. It's difficult to imagine that she could brutally murder her respected master. Indeed, I am of the same opinion. I visited Sir Belduke on several occasions to inquire about this piece of evidence or that, and I must say I felt there was a strong bond of trust between him and Miss Greyell. Do you still think that you can come up with a motive? A motive? Jean Greyell's motive for murder. Greyell risked a lot to conjure up a small portal in the wall. And then she killed Belduke. What motive did she have? What if the motive wasn't to kill Belduke? I understand. The defense will present evidence. Evidence to indict Jean Greyell's motive for murder? No. Wait, what? What is this about, Sir Blue Knight? Sir Belduke's life was taken that day, that's a fact. However, was it actually the culprit's true objective?
Objection!
What? This is nonsense. Sir Belduke was murdered. What other possible reason could there be besides someone wanting him dead? I'm fairly positive this piece of evidence will lead us to the culprit's real motive. Very well, defense. Present evidence to indict Miss Jean Greyell's motive for committing the crime. Think about it. Have a look at the details on the floor plan, where we know all the stuff is. Have a look at some of the details on the crime scene sketches. Notice how everything is incredibly close here to the letter that you can see. The letter was the motive.
Take that!
Miss Greyell had no reason for wanting to kill Sir Belduke. However, there was another incident that night which is related to this case. And I have an idea what it was. Another incident? I'm referring to this letter. Sir Belduke wrote a letter shortly before his death. Yet what we have here are some blank sheets of parchment. Fascinating. Are you saying maybe a witch used some kind of ink-removing magic on that letter, Mr. Wright? Nothing quite so cold. No, the spell used by the witch was, of course, Godor. Let's go over the state of the crime scene one more time. We all know from Miss Mailer's testimony, the letter was in a letterbox next to the victim's head. Ah, yes, it's in the sketch as well. The letterbox is on the far side of the shelf. The point of note is the location of that letterbox. Unbelievable. As Inquisitor Barnum seems to have noticed, the letterbox is within reach of the small portal conjured by the witch behind the painting on the wall. Oh, indeed it is. And, as Sir Belduke's butler, you would have known exactly where he kept his letters. Indeed, Master Belduke would always keep his letters in that letterbox before posting them. You mentioned no such thing. Why would I? That is a trivial fact and of irrelevant consequences to anything. Miss Greyell, you created a portal with Godor, not with the intention of killing Sir Belduke. You were after this letter, weren't you? That's merely wild conjecture. I didn't even know about that letter at the time. You didn't? Now that's very strange. When Miss Mailer came by that night, Sir Belduke was busy writing that letter. And that's when you entered, carrying a bottle of tomato juice. There's no way you wouldn't have known that your master was writing a letter to someone. And you could have known even more than that. For instance, perhaps you knew what he was writing about. That's enough! I served Master Belduke as his butler. I would never have pried into his private affairs. Whatever it was he wrote about in his final letter to the storyteller is of no concern of mine. Boom! You just fucking ruined yourself. His final letter to the storyteller? Your Honor. Yes, defense? I'd like Miss Grail's last statement to be added to her testimony. Any objections, Inquisitor Barnum? No, my lord. Very well, witness. Include what you just told us in your testimony. As you wish, my lord. I had no reason to take his life nor steal his letter to the storyteller.
Hold it!
Let me get this straight. You didn't know anything about this victim's letter. That's right. I believe I had said as much already. Then, how did you know? How did you know it was addressed to the storyteller? Ah, indeed. Why don't you answer his question, witness? It's true, this letter is addressed to the storyteller. But when did you find out about it? I have spoken about the murder with many people over the past 3 months. Everyone has been very kind to me. They've also told me all sorts of things. I must have heard about it from someone at some point. Well, that incident was certainly much talked about. Would you not agree, defense? Does her testimony hold together? There is a contradiction in this, though. There is a huge contradiction in Miss Grail's testimony. You are becoming very predictable, Sir Blue Knight. If there is a contradiction, I hope you have the evidence to prove it. Here's my chance. There's only one way to expose this contradiction. I can't present evidence on it, because it's not evidence. The defense has no intention of presenting evidence. What? The proof that there is a contradiction cannot be proven cannot be found in the court record. What? What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? The professor pointed it out to me in the previous witch trial. In this court, an attorney's arsenal isn't limited to the court record. Each of the witnesses in this trial has given their own account of what occurred. Therefore, whenever one witness has testified, the other remaining witnesses have listened. Should one witness's testimony differ from another's testimony, then I suppose that in itself can also be considered a contradiction, can it not? Juxtaposing contradictory testimonies from different witnesses is the key. Miss Grail, your testimony contradicts another one that we've heard in this court today. I've never broken it once.
Objection!
Objection! I love that! I love that as well. They just sing it. It was a single word that gave you away, Miss Grail. What? What do you mean by that? The name of the recipient. There were only a few people who knew that this intended recipient for that letter. 4 people, to be precise. Only 4 people? First was Sir Belduke, the author of the letter. Then there was Miss Mailer, who delivered it. And of course the storyteller, its recipient, as well as one more person. The one who stole the letter using a portal spell and swapped it with the blank sheets of parchment. The witch. Maybe I did. Maybe I spilled the beans. About the letter, I mean. Maybe I told the butler. You did what? Well, because, you see, me and the butler are sort of friends. And it was about our dear Sir Belduke. I feel like I might have told her about it after all. See? If I did that, that's how she knew. About the recipient, I mean.
Objection!
Letty, I'm so sorry. This is going to be so painful for you. I understand that you are friends with Miss Grayle and that you wanted to help her out. But I've got a piece of advice, Miss Mailer. You shouldn't lie, even for a friend. Huh? Remember your testimony? You told us about the courier's duty to keep the details of letters confidential. And you have also testified that you have never broken that obligation. Remember?
Objection!
But, hold on just a minute. As the victim's butler, Jean Grayle might have had a chance to catch a glimpse of the envelope.
Objection!
No. No, she didn't. When Miss Mailer came with the delivery, Sir Belduke was still writing that letter. In fact, he was in the middle of it, and at the time the letter had not been addressed yet. And the next morning, when the body was discovered, that letter was already in the letterbox. Keep in mind that Miss Grayle would have had no opportunity to see it then either. Is that so? She went to report the crime without ever setting foot in the study. And then Miss Mailer appeared and retrieved that letter. Needless to say, Miss Grayle couldn't have learned of the letter's recipient afterwards. Or maybe you have a good explanation, Miss Grayle? I'd very much like to hear one. Can you please tell the court how you found out the recipient's name? Mr. Wright? Yes? Do you remember what I said when I was called to the witness stand? Yes. At the heart of alchemy lies the pursuit of the rules and logic that govern nature. You have demonstrated the power of your own logic. Miss Grayle. Are you saying? Yes, I confess. The abhorrent witch who used the spell Godor to swap the contents of that letter, and who took the life of Master Belduke, was me. It was none other than I. Oh, Letty. I just love the fact that this is completely silent. There is no uproarious feeling. I was an only child, born to a poor family. I've been a witch since I was very little. When I did become aware of it, when did I become aware of it? I don't remember. Although I was but a young child, I knew that being a witch was a crime. That's why I hid my witch's scepter and wouldn't use magic at all. Oh, look at them. My father worked as a bricklayer. He toiled every day, but we could hardly make ends meet. One winter day, we couldn't afford to pay the rent. We were going to lose the house. My mother was in tears and my father was sitting with his head down, wordless.
I want money for Mummy and Daddy.
That day, I suddenly remembered about the witch's scepter that I had hidden. The Goldor spell. I thought I'd try it, just once, casting the spell. But at the time, I had no idea what an irreversible mistake that would be. Even though no one told me, I knew from the very beginning what magic I was able to use. What should I turn into gold? I was thinking about it really hard, the little girl that I was. Something that wouldn't stand out, that could be taken for a work of art. And I decided to choose a pretty leaf that had fallen into our garden. But it wasn't the right thing to do after all. I was terribly punished for using magic, even just the once. Punished? In what way were you punished? I placed the leaf down on the back of the garden and cast the spell, but then Margaret suddenly walked in front of me. Margaret? My closest childhood friend. Margaret, right before my eyes, she was turned into gold. Oh, dear me. I screamed and I cried, but I knew I couldn't ask anyone for help. If anyone had seen it, they would have known it was the work of magic. And I knew Margaret wasn't coming back. That's terrible. Then my mother and father's faces flashed before my eyes. We may have been very poor, but we were always happy together. Had I been captured as a witch, I feared my parents probably wouldn't be safe either. That thought tormented me more than anything. And so I made the decision. I decided to end my own life. Yeah, it's a fucking dark case. I threw myself into the river near the town. It was winter and the water was as cold as ice. I couldn't even move. It was painful. My consciousness started drifting away. The next thing I knew, I was in Master Belduke's residence. He risked his own life jumping into the freezing river just to save me. I burst into tears and told him everything. I didn't want to go back home. I would only end up causing my parents grief. Master Belduke listened to me without interrupting, and then he told me this.
You can stay here, but from now on, you must live as a boy.
To hide the secret. Master Belduke met with my parents and explained everything to them. They were very sad, but they agreed it would be best if I didn't return home. Poor Miss Greyo, that must have been so awful for her. Master bought the house for my parents so they wouldn't have to worry about paying rent anymore. As for Margaret, turned into gold, he brought her to his residence. He knew that if anyone saw her, they would report an incident of witchcraft. And this Miss Margaret, is she still in that golden state? Yes, she is. That is strange. We have received no reports of anybody by that name having gone missing. Margaret is being kept in the basement under Master's study. The basement? Correct me if I'm wrong, but this Margaret, is she Yes, my dear friend, was a goat that we had been keeping at our house. A goat? Until then, Master Belduke had mainly been researching medicine, but since the incident with Margaret, he became known as an alchemist. So that's why he became an alchemist. I was wondering why the goat was the only thing not covered in dust. That's how I started a new life as Master Belduke's butler. Sir Belduke would sometimes work as a physician, curing the townspeople of their illnesses. As his assistant, you have also shown commitment to helping the townspeople through your work. I forgot about being a witch, and I was able to live happily at peace with everyone. I thought it could stay like that forever. But those peaceful days came to an abrupt end. Tell us, what in the world was the cause? I don't know what the cause is, but we'll have to find out next time, because we've been going for quite a while, and I don't want to ruin the whole case in just one go, so we have to pace ourselves. For now, we're going to go ahead and end off this video. If you have enjoyed, then do be sure to like, comment, subscribe for more, and to share the stuff so people know that it exists. My name has been Supersonic Blur. You guys have been a fantastic audience, and I shall see you all next time.